Look, I spent many years of my fat loss journey just repeating the same patterns over and over again. It wasn't until I was actually able to get rid of these patterns that I was actually able to see the fat loss stick. So in this video, I want to show you exactly what those patterns were for me, some of the patterns that you're probably making for yourself, and more importantly, how to get rid of them so it no longer keeps you hostage as far as losing weight. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You go about a week into your diet, you're doing great, you've stuck to your macros, you hit the gym, you did everything that you're supposed to do, but then it's Saturday and your friends ask you to go out and you're at a restaurant and you just decide, you know what, it's a cheat day, I could eat whatever I want, right? And then you decide to eat dinner, that meal, whatever it is that you decided that you wanted to eat, and then your friends all get dessert and you're like, fuck, dude, I kind of want dessert too. So then you get dessert. And at that point, you're like, oh, bro, you know what? I kind of already ruined it. Tomorrow you wake up, you don't feel like going to the gym. You don't feel like sticking to your macros. So you're just like, you know what? I'll just start again on Monday. And then Sunday you binge because you know you're going to start the next day. And because you binged, you completely ruin all the progress you made that week. And now you're back to square one. I did this literally all the time. And this is one of the worst patterns I fell into because it always felt like I was taking 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back. It never actually felt like I was able to lose the weight because I just wasn't consistent enough. Ultimately, I would spend the first couple years of my fitness life just falling into that pattern over and over again. And it was super frustrating because I can never make any progress. And if you know anything about fitness, you know consistency is probably the most important part, because if you can't maintain keeping up with the macros, keeping up with the workouts or the diet, you're never going to be able to actually lose the weight. And the worst part is you were already doing great, right? That whole week I was already doing great. So you're literally self-sabotaging yourself. And it was one of the worst feelings because it literally felt like fat loss just wasn't meant for you. And if you relate with that, well then tell me if this sounds familiar as well. This is way back when I was in high school. And when I was in high school, I would take a lot of time to do my studies. And in my studies, I was in AP classes. So it was really important for me to get good grades. And sometimes that just wouldn't happen. Maybe I didn't study enough, maybe I just didn't get enough sleep, but I would get a kind of bad grade and it would completely ruin my mood. And because of this, I just found myself naturally eating more food. I would find myself in the kitchen more than I should be, right? I'm not even hungry, I'm just depressed. And if you're somebody who emotionally eats, you can see how frustrating this is because your whole diet is based off of your emotions. If you're not feeling good, it could completely ruin your own diet. And that was the second pattern I kept falling into, is the fact that I use food to regulate my emotions, using food as a coping mechanism for emotions, right? For whatever it is, for when you're sad, for when you're angry, for when you're depressed. Any emotion, any negative emotion that affects you, you end up eating food just to give yourself some positive feelings so you don't have to feel that feeling. It's ultimately running away from emotions. Once I also recognized that pattern and released it, I was able to not only stick to my diets because I wasn't just binging at the end of my week, but I was also able to regulate what I was eating consistently, because when at the end of the day, this all comes back to consistency. If you can't regulate your emotions, if you can't trust yourself to eat good even when you don't feel great, or eat good even when you know it's the end of the week, I'm tired, then you're never going to be able to stick to the diet and actually sustain a healthy lifestyle for yourself. Now, if you are young, this is a big sign for you. And not even just young people. The only reason I'm really speaking to you guys is because when I was young, I really struggled with patience. I just wanted what I wanted now. When I was a kid, I would try to sneak and open the Christmas gifts before Christmas because I just wanted to know what I got, right? I wanted the day to be there. I was so bad with patience. And this is one of the worst things when it comes to fat loss, because everybody knows fat loss takes time. Even to lose weight pretty fast, which is like a month, 2 weeks to a month, you could lose some weight. Even that is a long time for somebody who's impatient. So if you're not patient, it's gonna be very difficult to you. And the reason I bring that up in the first place is because you will be in such a rush to lose weight that you want it to happen now. And what I would do is I would watch these transformation videos and I would always get to the point where, man, I just want this body now. And I know the more I restrict my calories, the more weight I lose. So what would I do? Well, instead of eating 2,000 calories like I should have at the time, I would be eating 1,200. Instead of doing 3 workouts a week, I was doing 6. Instead of doing 30 minutes of cardio, I was doing an hour. Basically just overdriving myself to the point to where I wanted to lose weight now, and I did it in an unhealthy way, right? I just wanted to be there already. And because of this, I would find myself consistently over restricting my calories. And this was a problem I lived for a long time. Throughout my time, even when I did get fit the first time, I still over restricted my calories because I always wanted to do it fast. And that is a thing that you need to keep in mind, because some of the reasons some people struggle to lose weight is because not because they can't, but because they're overcutting their calories. So if you're somebody who's just lacks patience, if you know, oh, that's me, I lack patience, you need to be very mindful of that. And that's a pattern that you're gonna have to recognize, because the first two that we talked about is all about consistency. This one is nothing less than the same. It's about consistency. You cannot live on 1,200 calories, right? Little me couldn't live on 1,200 calories. That's why I would binge. That's why I would even fall into those other patterns. A lot of this goes hand in hand. So just keep it in mind. Patience. Patience is always going to win. It may be slow at first, but just know as long as you set the intention to lose the weight, and that you stick to the calories, and that you do the diet and do all the things necessary to lose the weight, it is inevitable. So speeding it up is just gonna mess you up. Now, this last pattern really took me a long time to learn, and this is really the key. One of the things that we are all taught in the fitness space when we're watching these YouTube videos, when we're watching and listening to podcasts and blogs and reading all this information on how to lose weight, we all try to move with the action, right? We say, get motivated, get off your ass, right? Do the things that we are telling you to do to lose the weight. And while that's all fine and dandy, we start to struggle in the area of consistency, because we are not that person who is used to being in the gym, right? You are somebody who, if you're not in shape, if you're overweight, you don't have the habits or the character traits of somebody who is fit, who does have the body that you want, because that's just not who you are. But yet we try to stick these habits of somebody who is like that on our body, right? We try to say, just get up, just go to the gym, right? Just eat healthy, right? All these things that just isn't ingrained in you, but yet we try to act that way and then wonder why we keep falling off. And it really comes down to the fact that you are not the person who has the body that you want. If you were, you would have the body. So the number one pattern that I fixed, and that I recommend everybody watching this video fix, and not just watch the video and hear the advice and be like, oh, that's cool, and then go watch another fitness video. I mean, actually listen to what I'm telling you and actually focus on fixing this first, because once you fix this, everything else after is 10 times easier. Change your identity. Fix the pattern of being the person who isn't who you want to be. You're acting like somebody who is dieting and not just living the life of somebody who's naturally fit. Because if you did that, you wouldn't need a diet. You wouldn't need discipline. You wouldn't need willpower. I go to the gym on my lunch break. A lot of my coworkers go, wow, that takes a lot of discipline. But me, I know it doesn't take discipline. That's just who I am, right? You create your character. You create your identity around how you want to be. Because when you act from that place, everything is aligned and you are no longer fighting yourself. And when I finally fixed this at the end, and it's funny because I fixed each of these patterns in the order I'm telling you, and it wasn't to the very end that I fixed that last pattern that made all the rest fall by the wayside. So if I wouldn't tell you to have you leave with anything as far as patterns, I would fix that one first. So these are some of the patterns that I noticed in myself, and I was able to let these go, which allowed me to go ahead and release these patterns to where I made this a lot easier for myself. So I want you to reflect on yourself. I want you to think, what patterns do I keep recognizing? Get a list, get out a pen and pad, use your iPhone notes, use whatever you have, and write down, when it comes to working out, when it comes to the gym, what do I keep running into? Do I keep overeating, right? Do I keep missing the gym because I'm too tired? Do I overcome my calories because I'm not patient? Right? What patterns do you keep running into on your day-to-day when it comes to your fitness journey? And write those down, because once you write them down, you'll be able to recognize, okay, this is a pattern in my life that I need to let go of. Because the first step to this is actually just recognizing what your patterns are. Because until then, you're just going to endlessly be running into the same problems. You're just going to endlessly go into the gym and falling into the same problems because you never identify what the problem is in the first place. You need to find a problem to find a solution. So just write down, what do you keep running into as far as fitness? And once you let go of these patterns and create a new identity to where you could create new patterns, now fat loss will become effortlessly. And if you don't know how to do that, make sure to watch this video right here.